Hey guys, this is Andy with Get Your Wellies. We're going to do a little bit of pruning on these tomatoes behind me. So I wanted to talk to you about that. But first of all, as always, why don't you get your wellies? Meet me in the garden. Okay guys, so first of all, let's talk about why we prune tomato plants. Two reasons. One is because we want to put all the energies into the fruit, and if we want to produce those really big tomatoes that everybody loves in the summer, then you kind of want to make sure the plant's really focusing its energy in the right place. So guys, here we are out where these tomatoes have been sitting in my garden now for a couple of weeks. This one here is a Beta Lux. This is a determinate variety of tomato. So that brings to mind, when we talk about pruning, do you even need to prune? So with a determinate tomato, and how would you know it's determinate? Well, it's either going to say so on the seed packet if you grew from seed, that it is a determinate variety, or you may have to Google it if it's one you bought from the store and you're not familiar with. Then look it up on Google and see if it's either a determinate, a semi-determinate, or an indeterminate. Most of them are going to be determinate or indeterminate, and the semi-determinate I would treat like they're an indeterminate. So this is a Beta Lux. It's a determinate variety. So this one is going to basically, it's like a bush tomato. It's going to grow to a certain height. It's going to grow a certain number of flowers, therefore a certain amount of fruit, and then it's going to be done. So with these, you really don't want to go cutting anything off, because that's probably places where fruit will develop. So determinates you can either leave alone completely, they're super easy in that respect, or you can prune them a little bit. And that's what I do. I pruned from the base of this plant above the mulch up to about here, so that's close to 12 inches. This mulch keeps a lot of the splashing from soil away from this plant, so 12 inches is all I'm going to do. I'm not going to prune this plant any further. It is setting flowers, and the first little baby tomato there, and it's got flowers elsewhere on the plant. So determinates, basically you don't have to do much with. I like to prune the bottom of these plants because the soil, especially if you've got bare soil without a good mulch on it, can splash up disease to those lower leaves, and they'll get looking really nasty, and it can spread throughout the plant. So determinate plants, and these would be the most common ones I can think of off the top of my head. Romas, people like to grow Romas, and those are a determinate variety. So moving along, let's talk about indeterminates. Now then, this is a blueberries. This is an indeterminate variety. So with an indeterminate, these are vining type of tomatoes. So they're going to keep growing basically until they either succumb to the frost or disease, but they will keep on putting on fruit. So what happens with these plants is they will produce what we call suckers, and they call them suckers because they suck energy out of the plant. And basically a sucker, I'm going to show you a couple of places on this plant. We actually have, I hope you can see here, this is the main stem. Well, the main stem's right here, and then we have a branch off of here. This is a leaf branch coming across from here, and the angle between here, the main stem, and any branch, whether it be a flower branch, a leaf branch that comes off, this angle between the two is known as the axil. So what we have here is another piece of plant growing from inside that axil. Some people like to call this the armpit of the plant, the elbow of the plant. Either one of those works. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come in here and cut that extra branch out of here. So this was the sucker. It will become almost like a whole other plant. If you were to put this in water, it would sprout roots, and you could actually use that for an extra plant. And some people do that. They save them up through the season and do that. So again, right here on this axle, inside of this the angle from here to here, inside of this armpit, we have another one. It's a little big. Sometimes some people leave them if they get big, but I'm going to go ahead and cut that out. This is just taking energy from the plant. Going higher up on the plant, I really don't see, well, I guess there's one there. Let's see, I'm going to cut that one out. These are my little kind of narrow snippers that work well for doing this. That's about all the suckers I can see easily anyway. Now here at the bottom we have a couple of branches. That's actually a sucker, and this branch is low, so I'm cutting both of those out. I don't want any of this stuff low on my plant because it's just a place for disease to start. And I think we may just cut this one more out where that sucker was. We'll cut that out. Actually see one more in there, and this one is probably small enough. If you go out and do this a lot, you can catch them early. So hope you can see that one. That's really small, so we can just pop that out. And actually there's another one. It's been raining, so I've been unable to come out and do this yet, but I really wanted to bring you along when I did it. So, but that's basically one plant done. So these are also indeterminate varieties, and this one has just got a lot of branches down low. This is a mushroom basket variety. I'm going to trim this up just a little bit here because I really want airflow at the bottom of these plants. The humidity in Arkansas really is not good for tomatoes. Everybody thinks tomatoes are super easy to grow, and in some ways they are, but I have to tell you, they do not like extreme heat above about 93, 94, and especially if it's very humid, they'll just quit producing. Now they'll pick back up again when the weather changes, but so that one, I actually do see a couple of places where the suckers. We'll take this one off. There's a small one in here. Actually, that one, I think I'm going to leave that for now. That's probably, we're going to call that one good for now. I don't want to trim it too much more because it's actually the smallest one over here. And then we'll have a look over here. This is a Chadwick cherry. This one produced quite a bit last year, and they are okay cherries. They're not just like super exciting to me, but they're okay. This one, I'm just going to cut this bottom limb off. Get a little airflow in this one here too, and we'll do this one. Usually the way it works out for me is everything above that first rung of the and this is a little backwards because this is the sucker. Let's just take both of those. Actually, I can be a little brutal. I've learned to do that. It's not easy just to go hacking at plants, but you know, it's ultimately be good for them, and hopefully we'll get better fruit from this. Looks like this sucker went a bit big. I'll probably just leave that one at least for now. So that's it on those. Let's go take a look at the paste tomatoes real quick. Now these are the ones I strung up the other day. see, I like to give these a little support, and the ones we just looked at are probably going to end up needing that too. I just haven't built a frame to put the string on yet, but we'll just pull a couple suckers here, and here. This one I went at pretty well the other day, so kind of still doing everything one-handed. I just had a little failure with my tripod, so I apologize for that. Okay, and these are touching a bit low, and I think that one needs to come off. Drop that one. And this one's probably going to wind up hanging too low, but I'm going to leave it for now till it gets a little higher up here. Okay, this one got a little fruit starting to set on some of these. I guess this one not quite yet, but we're getting somewhere close. These are the Amish paste, and I'm kind of intrigued to see if this is going to be my go-to paste tomato. We'll see. Here's some flowers on this one. This one I did, I think, the other day. There's one sucker in there. Another one here. We'll go ahead and get those. And this one, let's wrap him up a little bit more. Sucker there on the top, and there. So I guess the question, should you leave suckers on? Well, you can, and here's when I would consider doing that. If you are not worried about just fantastically big tomatoes, and you're more interested in getting a lot of them, if you have problems with pests, then you might be better to leave at least some of the suckers on, because that way, if pests come along, and inevitably they do, but if they come along, there's a sucker in there. I'm just going to cut all of that though. You can actually afford to lose a little bit to your marauders when they show up. Squirrels, birds, that kind of thing. You can afford to lose a little bit more if you have more tomatoes on there, but they're going to be smaller. Your plant has a certain amount of energy it can produce, so that's what's going to go into making fruit ultimately. Well guys, it looks like we've improved the airflow through the tomatoes pretty well. They look quite a bit happier, so I appreciate you joining me today. Well guys, thanks again for joining me in the garden. It's been fun, and I've got the tomatoes pruned up, at least for a little while, and suckers out. So I hope you've learned something today. I hope you enjoy visiting with me here and enjoyed the video today. If you did, give me a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed already, do that, and I will see you on the next video. But for now, bye now.